Hey everyone, this is D, Movieman, fellow cinephile, popcorn addict, and emerging film critic, coming to you with reliable recaps, reviews, and reactions. And today I'm coming to you all once again with another Out of the Theater, in the theater reaction, this time for Mercy, directed by Timur Bekmambetov and starring Chris Pratt and Rebecca Ferguson. Story-wise, this is centered around a detective who suddenly finds himself on trial for the big M regarding his wife, and he basically has 90 minutes to prove his innocence before he is executed. So of course, I'm going to start with the pros. Let me first say that Timur Bekmambetov has done a lot of really solid films: Night Watch, Day Watch, Wanted, Abraham Lincoln, Vampire Hunter, and he's also produced a lot of Screenlife films, including Searching, which was one of my favorites of that year and probably one of the best experiences with that subgenre. Unfortunately, he was also one of the producers for War of the Worlds, which of course is one of the worst films of 2025, although I didn't personally have the misfortune to have watched it myself. So there's that. But I will say, I think that a lot of what works for the Screenlife genre also works here. It's basically a Screenlife film without the specific screen part. Like, we see a lot of it and it's keeping that same structure, but it's not solely the screen. So I thought that incorporating those elements and still having a story that felt compelling, that kept me invested, I thought that, of course, was something I did enjoy. I think that Rebecca Ferguson, she can kind of sort of do no wrong for me, and I think this is just another example of a performance where she had me captivated, and honestly, were it not for her casting or her even being featured in the lead role, I probably wouldn't have been nearly as interested or invested. I don't think I would have continued my general enjoyment of the film were it not for her. So I think that she's the best part of this, and I definitely appreciate what she brings to this role as an actress, as well as so many others. I will also say that I think the concept of this being set in 2029 and us getting another interesting version of or depiction of the future was also really interesting, especially in regards to AI. It's obviously a very timely subject, and this film has no problem focusing on that. The ideas here are really compelling, especially when it comes down to the justice system. What would that look like in the future? And considering all the access that AI has, how quickly technology has advanced and continues to advance. One of my coworkers was just talking about how quickly ChatGPT has advanced just since last November, as well as Copilot. And it just lets you know it doesn't take much to really get to a place where everything that's depicted in this film could actually happen, which is intriguing and frightening all at the same time. All right, so now I'm going to jump over to the cons. I think this film has quite a few issues that undermine the overall experience. Number one, Chris Pratt. I don't think he's a bad actor, but I'm not his biggest fan. I feel like Guardians of the Galaxy has been my general enjoyment, but I feel like his range is not really there, and I felt like this was just another example of Chris Pratt doing what Chris Pratt always does. And of course you have more of the emotions and the histrionics, but a lot of it comes down to his usual, even down to the, the screaming, emotional, like all of that. Yes, it's there, it's serviceable, it's fine. Is it great? Is it really compelling? No. Could someone else have easily been cast for this role? Absolutely. I will also say that a lot of the supporting performances, in my opinion, were not good. I just didn't. I thought the young actress who portrayed his daughter, I thought she was fairly solid, but everybody else was just like, No, it didn't click. It didn't work. I wasn't a fan. And considering that a lot of those performances had to carry the second and especially the third act, it was an absolute no for me. So that really didn't help the experience either. I will also say that similar to films like Missing, and although I haven't seen other Screenlife films, I do know with Missing in particular, where the story goes, like how it operates and how effective it is in the beginning, and how, it's a little bit more muted and we're having to just kind of like go with the flow, kind of a slow burn. I think once we hit a certain point in the third act, it just becomes really ridiculous and silly and over the top. And I understand it's trying to take that element seriously, but it doesn't really work in a serious manner. And again, those performances also make it feel a lot more cheesy and hokey than it should. So overall, it was fine. I think it had more promise in the first half that didn't really get fulfilled in the second half. And I think, the message and all that was kind of like, yeah, okay, yeah, sure, fine. But I think that's the best thing I could say. It was fine, it was serviceable. I think this, as far as the justifiable reason to pay for an IMAX ticket, let alone IMAX 3D, yeah, no. I enjoyed that visually, but there's nothing about this film that really required the IMAX 3D piece. There were some really cool sequences, but this isn't Avatar, and even with my issues with Avatar, that's a reason to see a film in IMAX 3D. This is not. It just isn't. So overall, I would probably put this at a C+. And again, not the worst way to start off 2026, but not the best either. So, there's that. But it's been a minute since I've been in the theater, especially since the holiday and definitely since the new year, because I technically saw We Bury the Dead in 2025. So yeah, it's fine. It's fine. Everything's fine. Everything's fine. But overall, hopefully my next excursion to the theater will be something a little bit more exciting, something I can find a bit more compelling than this. But of course, until next time, this is D, Movieman, signing off, and I'll see you at the movies.